Everyone. Great to be here we've got Canopy Lake Park, Santa's Village, Camps Kenwood and Evergreen, the White Mountain Attractions Association, and Ski New Hampshire, all here with us to discuss the importance of BridgeUSA programs in filling our vital workforce needs. And I just want to say at the outset, so that people understand, BridgeUSA is a program from the State Department, an immigration program that's formerly known as the Exchange Visitor J-1 Visa Program. So we're here to talk about J-1 visas and how important they are for our hospitality, for our attractions, for our summer camps, and just quality of life here in New Hampshire. Big impact on the economy. Well, we know that COVID-19 pandemic has presented us with unique challenges, but we've also learned that by working together, we can safely get out and about and restore our economy and help those who have been most impacted. And the biggest goal that I have this winter headed into spring is to reestablish New Hampshire's thriving business community. Many parts did extremely well. The resiliency here in New Hampshire has been nothing short of extraordinary. People getting to work on the front line, working from home, working however they could get it done. But we do have small businesses here in New Hampshire and all across the country who rely on this BridgeUSA program, again, formerly known as the Exchange Visitor J-1 Visa Program, to staff their operations and serve their communities. And during COVID-19, they have had particular challenges. So I believe it's essential that Congress does its part to strengthen this program and to ensure that our businesses right here in the Granite State and all across the country have the workforce that they need, especially in regions like the North Country, where visiting workers fill critical vacancies during our busy tourism seasons. That may be the summer attractions or the winter ski areas. So I was super proud to introduce with my co-lead from Utah, Republican, the House Resolution 901 last week to support the BridgeUSA programs and the important role they play in our national and local economies. This resolution makes clear that the processing of J-1 BridgeUSA visas should be a top priority at our embassies and consulates all over the world, and that Congress should be consulted on any major changes to the BridgeUSA program, given the significant economic impact and even national security impact of the program. So thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We'll hear from our panelists. And as the pandemic continues, I'm eager to hear more from all of you and to help in any way that I can to support your businesses, both for-profit and not-for-profit, through these challenging times. And with that, I'm very pleased to turn it over to Carl Burney to kick things off. There we go. Carl, if you unmute, the screen is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Congresswoman, for sponsoring Resolution 901 and also for your support of the American Rescue Plan, particularly the Paycheck Protection Program, which was essential for many of us in the leisure and hospitality industry that got hit really hard back in 2020. As you had mentioned, 21, there was a lot of pent-up demand and business came bouncing back. People were itching to get out of the house, and they did come out.
And to have fun with their family at Canopy Lake Park.
They did. The problem is we couldn't open as much as we wanted to. We had to turn business away because we didn't have enough staff. We hire first of all, we have about 75 year-round full-time employees with benefits in the park. Yes, most of them are maintenance administration. We keep all our key staff on year-round. We had last year just under 1,100 seasonal employees. And that is probably about a little over 20% less than what we normally would like to have. Therefore, we were only able to open 5 days a week, and we reduced our hours during the weekdays because we couldn't staff all of the shifts in the park. Some days we had attractions closed, but you know, in order for it to be a enjoyable experience for our guests, we did not want to overcrowd the park. We had a reservation system, and whatever we could handle, and we had to turn business away, particularly on the weekends. From what I understand, the BridgeUSA program had some problems last year because the participants overseas could not get appointments with the embassies. And I know you and your staff are trying to facilitate that by giving them some priority this year. And I know that's difficult because of some of the embassies being closed. But anything you can do for us would be appreciated. It's a wonderful program. We've used up to 30 foreign students in the past. We house them ourselves, which is a big advantage because a lot of businesses can't house. We take good care of them. They mingle with our staff. They're great workers. They come here to work. They don't take jobs away from others in the area. As I said, we have a hard time filling what we have available. These are seasonal positions. We hire mainly students. We're heavily dependent on students because these are, seasonal positions. A lot of the students can only work so many hours because of their age. Therefore, we can't cover all the shifts. So it's essential if we're going to be open, have a normal operating season, that we have these J1 participants. Sodexo is our food service operator. They hire as well. They hire J1s as well. Raising wages is not an issue. Some people have said, well, just raise your wage and you'll get more staff. I think Christian can talk to this as well, that there just aren't enough people out there looking for work. A lot of people have stayed out of the workforce because of the virus. And as we are all well aware, things are structurally different. This labor market is structurally different than what we've had in the past. And I don't think things are going to change anytime soon. I think that's about all I have for now, unless you have any questions for me.
Well, we will get back to questions, but Carl, thank you so much. And I apologize in advance. Or in retrospect, I should have introduced you, the president of Canopy Lake Park. And a couple of things just that you said. Yes, part of the problem with the J1 visas is that the challenge of a worldwide pandemic is that we literally had consulates closed all over the world, and they were also working from home. And part of this program required this in-person interview. And so that was causing the backlog. But I agree with you. I think there is a change that's happened within the labor market, that COVID maybe just exacerbated it. But there are also changes that have to do with, yes, people were concerned about their safety, particularly forward-facing client, customer-facing positions like the ones you're talking about. But also there were big challenges in the childcare sector. We have 1,500 childcare positions open in New Hampshire. So we've really had almost, in some places, it feels like a collapse of the childcare availability. So there's a number of issues that we're working on to help build back the infrastructure of the workforce so that people can get back to work, and you'll have more more people to draw on. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Keeler, and Jessica is the president of Ski New Hampshire. Jessica, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Representative Kuster, for having me. It's nice to see you again. I hope you've managed to get out and ski this winter. And if you have, it's probably more than I have.
We have been skiing quite a bit when we can, and this weekend in particular, 22 inches of snow up at Wildcat. So I have no complaints.
Yay. Well, I'm glad to hear it. And I just want to thank you again for all of the work that you have done on this issue and all kinds of other issues, not just for the ski industry, but for New Hampshire's travel and tourism industry in general. And not even just New Hampshire, but across the country. We are so indebted to you for all your efforts and really appreciate your work and your attention to a lot of these issues that impact our industry. So with regards to the BridgeUSA programs, and in particular the J1 visas, as you know, it's critical for many ski areas in New Hampshire to be able to take advantage of those programs, both during the ski season and increasingly they're important during the summer season as well. Because as you know, a lot of our ski areas have pretty robust summer operations and they do take advantage of those J1s during the summer. And of course, a significant number of ski area jobs are seasonal, and resorts, they simply can't run all of their operations for the hours they want to be open with the local workforce available. You know, operating in rural areas and tourist areas, there's a lot of competition for jobs, but there just aren't enough people to fill those jobs. You know, we see that teenagers are limited in the hours they can work, particularly during the winter months because of school. Which is fair. We want them to be in school. And also many adults prefer full-time work and they need benefits that seasonal positions just don't offer. Prior to the pandemic, ski areas struggled to fill seasonal positions too, but since the pandemic, those struggles have just been exacerbated. Carl touched on this before too, but a lot of workers decided just not to work in some of the seasonal jobs that they used to fill for fear of contracting COVID-19. A lot of other workers of different ages just stepped away from positions that may have put them in harm's way, by working with travelers and people that they didn't know. We're just having that face-to-face contact. At the same time, as you know, demand for outdoor activities skyrocketed, particularly skiing, which is a fun thing that people can do with friends and family outside in the winter months, and it limits exposure to COVID. As we've seen, the surges tend to happen in the winter. People are more and more anxious to get out and do something. Skiing has been a real, go-to for a lot of people. In addition to the diehards, we've seen a lot of new people coming to the sport, or people who maybe had tried it before and are coming back, lap skiers coming back to it. So there's been a lot of demand. So the combination of high demand and a diminished workforce, which was stretched even more thin due to J1s largely not being able to come last year, made for some really challenging work conditions for those ski areas that typically did rely on J1 workers. This year, that problem has been alleviated to an extent, but most ski areas that I spoke with who went through the process of getting J1s this year weren't able to get all of the ones that they had requested. And what I heard was a lot of that had to do with processing challenges at embassies, which, as you just touched on too, has a lot to do with the fact that there were closures and their own staffing issues. But either way, I'd like to say that Ski New Hampshire and all of its members support anything that you and Congress can do to ensure that processing of worker visas at embassies is a priority and recognized as a key to the economic success for ski areas and other recreational businesses, not only in New Hampshire, but all over the country. And thanks again.
Well, great. And thank you, Jessica. You do such a great job. You're a national leader yourself. Ski New Hampshire is known around the country as just such a wonderful organization to serve the ski resorts and ski hills, ski areas here in New Hampshire. Just for those of you to know, I'm the founder and co-chair of the Bipartisan Ski and Snowboard Caucus in Congress. So we do a lot together with Ski New Hampshire. And interestingly enough, the two top issues nationally that we've been working on are immigration and climate, not surprisingly. So great. Thanks, Jessica. All right. Christian Garner is with us, and Christian is the owner of Santa's Village, one of our favorite places. I should say, Christian, Brian Breshnahan couldn't be with us today, but fun fact, my Our outreach coordinator in the North Country out of our Littleton office is a former elf from Santa's Village.
I can appreciate that. I do appreciate that. So again, everybody, my name's Christian Gaynor. I'm third generation owner and operator of Santa's Village. I'm proud to announce that we are now in our 70th season of operations. Santa's Village employs about 20 to 25 J1 students. We give our students housing. We supply them with a full-time dedicated employee to make sure that they're taken care of. Actually, my family represents two businesses. First, Santa's Village, which is a major anchor attraction for the White Mountains, and especially Coos County in northern New Hampshire. Second, we also own the Lantern Resort, which is a quintessential small motel campground, similar to many other small family businesses in our area. Since the end of the paper mills, it's all been about tourism for us. Tourism is vital to the entire economy of Coos County. And being in a remote area, we're not competing for just day trips. We're competing for extended vacations from 3 days to 1 week. We're competing with other regions of other states, trying to get those vacationers from, New Jersey and New York and north. The majority of our revenue just comes from out of state. And this is not by chance. 70% of our visitors are repeat visitors. At Santa's Village, we set the bar high. We create expectations and we, foster anticipation. Not only are we competing for this year, but we're auditioning for years to come. We have to continue to build our reputation and loyalty because those two things result in goodwill. And goodwill has carried us for basically the past 2 years. COVID has hurt our business and our industry. For the past 2 years, Santa's Village has really kind of performed poorly. We've had a poor performance from both internal and external points of view. Over the past 2 years, we've had to close operating days. We've reduced the amount of hours that we are open. We've reduced our offerings. We've reduced our capacity. We've shut down rides and attractions. But we've made the best of it. We've made it work in unusual circumstances. And I feel our guests are currently understanding of the situation that we're in. The key for us making it was two processes over the past 2 years. One, we reduced our operating capacity. That's our guest capacity in the park. And it's not because of social distancing, but first and foremost, we reduced our capacity based upon the number of employees we had available to make our park work for the number of guests we had. And me remind you that in tourism and attractions, we're all volume-based businesses. When that volume or that operating capacity is reduced 40 to 50%, it really doesn't make the business, viable anymore. The second thing that we had to do to keep our business running is we increased our starting pay for cooks and ride operators by 50%. So their starting pay was more than double New Hampshire's minimum wage. We had to act fast. Our attractions are limited, have a limited amount of days to operate and a limited amount of time to be successful to keep a year-round business. It's simple. When prices rise, when demand is high and supply is low, and currently our employee pool is just too low. And now surrounding businesses are getting closer to our rates, and we just can't keep on increasing our starting wages, 50% year after year. Now, currently, our goodwill is running low, and we can't continue to deliver a substandard, poor product. Every day, Santa's Village requires 180 to 200 employees to operate, to create that superior experience, to accomplish our goal of delivering pure joy family style. J1 students make up about 10% of our workforce on any given day, but they also complete 15% of the work needed to be accomplished. And, when these students come to our country, they're prepared to work. They're happy to work 10 to 12 hour days. They're happy to work 6 days of weeks. And quite frankly, they bring a work ethic that our youths don't have right now or really even comprehend. What makes these foreign students so valuable to Santa's Village is really their age and ability. A very large portion of our employee youths are 14 to 15-year-olds. And another large section of Santa's Village employees are retirees, 65 years old and over. That group of employees are limited to what they can do by child labor laws and physical demands and requirements. The J1 students are perfect because they can fill in the gaps of our labor force. They can operate rides. They can cook in kitchens. They're happy to be cleaning all day long. For Santa's Village, typically J1s operate 25 to 30% of our rides, which is the major draw of Santa's Village. They contribute to 20% of our food cook workforce. So now that we are pushing past the pandemic and we got to get back to normal operating days, if we don't have that help, it really hurts the entire area in Santa's Village and New Hampshire in whole. So imagine not having 30% of your attractions and rides and operations and having to reduce your overall overings. And doing all that without the excuse of a national pandemic or COVID. This is the exact definition of a substandard product that our region can't afford to present. And the ripple effects that happen to other businesses, and this is not just for this year, but for future years. And I'm trying not to be dramatic, but our reputations and loyalty takes years, if not decades, to build. And it only takes an instant to fail. So for me, the bottom line is to make our business successful and our area and our region successful, we need to increase the size of the seasonal employee workforce. And I believe the foreign student visas are the answer. So thank you. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
You would think after 2 years we'd get that done. I was just saying thank you and congratulations to you and your family for, keeping such a great business going for 3 generations. And I think you raised a really interesting point, which is during the pandemic, people would cut you some slack. We're in a pandemic. But next summer, they're going to want things back on track. Life is normal as we've always known it. And if it's the workforce issues that are causing the problem, there's going to be kind of less sympathy and understanding. So I really appreciate you bringing it up. Next, we're joined by Scott Brody, National Board Chair for the American Camp Association and owner of camps Kenwood and Evergreen. Scott, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Well, the pandemic has really been sort of a once in 100-year challenge for our sector. So our nation's 14,000 summer camps care for about 26 million children during the course of the summer. Something that's really, I think, when you hear that number, it's a little surprising, but we are summer childcare to a great extent. Parents count on us. We are summer learning. We are summer engagement. We are a solution to this learning loss that has occurred through the course of the pandemic. And we've always been there to partner with our campers and our families to care for their kids. But in 2020, most of our nation's summer camps did not operate at all. It was 80% of our overnight camps, which is the lion's share of the New Hampshire summer camps in addition to day camps. 80% of overnight camps didn't operate at all, and only 60% of day camps did. So this $26 billion sector suffered $16 billion in loss. And when, summer camps really are, when you think about summer camps, they really fall into a couple of categories. There are many nonprofit camps that are part of organizations like the Y, the Scouts, Boys Club, Girls Club, Campfire, Salvation Army, many others. And then there are independent nonprofits and many small businesses. And in New Hampshire, many of our summer camps are small businesses that have been around for generations. So my summer camp, Camps Kenwood and Evergreen, is over 90 years old. I'm the third owner of this small business. I attended it as a child, and it really helped me find my strengths and build my skills to be a good friend to others, and learn how to live with others and come to understand the compromise, the kinds of things we need to do as a civil society to get along. And it's one of the reasons that summer camp is so important, particularly now in the environment, the polarized environment that we're in. So when the pandemic struck and essentially the J1 program shut down to a large extent, and camps couldn't operate, all of our employees that had been coming to us over and over again scattered, and we had to restart. So last summer was a restart summer for most of New Hampshire summer camps. And we were not only navigating how to operate safely during a pandemic and working with the CDC and all of the public health concerns, but we were facing the same staffing challenges as everyone else. And it was very difficult for summer camps to operate at capacity last summer. Most summer camps cut their capacity. And it was interesting because parents were so thirsting for a partnership with a camp to send their child to camp, to give them that face-to-face unplugged experience. And we were struggling to deliver the capacity to care for our nation's children. Typically, we as a sector employ 1 million, 2 million Americans to be camp counselors, to be support staff, to be administrative staff, to be teachers, to work with special needs children in our special needs camps. And the J1 Camp Counselor Program was created specifically for our sector. And in a typical year, about 26,000 camp counselors come over from a variety of countries and have this amazing cultural exchange experience with our kids. So many American kids are not going to be able to travel the world. They don't have that privilege. And the very first and maybe the most valuable cultural experience they have is having a camp counselor from the UK or from Australia or from Latin America or from Africa that they get to know. And it really opens their horizons and allows them to think about possibilities that they didn't know existed. And that's the beauty of cultural exchange. And the State Department has pretty consistently said that the Camp Counselor Program is kind of the gold standard because they're really living and working together. But we also benefit from the Summer Work Travel Program for all of the reasons that have been shared. It's very difficult, regardless of what we pay, and we have all increased our pay rates to the greatest extent we can. Of course, we're constrained by the fact that we don't want to price out the experience to parents. So we're sort of stuck in the middle there. But these summer work travel support staff and camp counselors through the J1 BridgeUSA program are sort of that last mile link, right? The vast majority of our staff are Americans. We hire as many as we possibly can. But these cultural exchange program participants come with specialized skills. There are lifeguards, they're soccer instructors, they have special needs training. It really is an amazing partnership. And while they represent a more modest number of our employees, they are so vital. And frankly, they're woven into the fabric of our communities and come back year after year and are so beloved. And right now, unless this problem is rectified, we are really facing a crisis, and we won't be able to operate as we need to serve the huge demand that is there for summer learning and education and just that face-to-face calming, mentally healthy experience that our kids need so desperately. So thank you for what you're doing for us and for everyone here.
This time I'll remember. There we go, Scott. Thank you so much. And that was so thoughtful, the way you presented it and the value of this program, not just to keep the camps up and running, but really to make a difference in youth and their life experience and to introduce them to people from all over the world. I think that's a really important. And we haven't spoken yet about these young people taking the cultural American culture back with them and that goodwill toward America, which we need so much around the world right now. So thank you. All right, Cheryl, thank you so much for your patience. Cheryl Reardon, president of White Mountains Attraction Association. And then we'll get a chance to ask for questions. If you're on the Zoom with us today and you'd like to ask a question, you can go ahead and drop it into the chat or raise your hand. And Cheryl, thanks. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Kuster. And as everyone else has said, thank you for your advocacy efforts, not only with the BridgeUSA program, but for New Hampshire and the travel and tourism industry. As many of my colleagues here on the call today have said, New Hampshire, the workforce crisis is an issue. As New Hampshire Tourism Office released last month, New Hampshire just came off of one of their best years for tourism, with increased dollar spend and increase in visitor numbers, close to 20% increase. The workforce issue, though, has been really critical for our industry, as we've seen a decrease from 2019 of about 25% in workforce. And it's making it difficult to continue to navigate and emerge from the challenges that were brought on by the pandemic. As Jess and Christian and Carl have all said, many of the attractions and the hospitality businesses have had to reduce their operating days, their daily hours, and only open up parts of their businesses for guests due to the lack of available workforce, making it really difficult to deliver visitors with the vacation experience they're expecting. But not only that, the service that they're used to receiving from all of us here. Our tourism seasons are really short, usually 3 to 4 months. It's really challenging to find folks that want to work just 3 or 4 months. And just to kind of leave it short, since everybody else has covered a lot of this, a full recovery for the tourism industry and the ability to continue to support our local economy and the other businesses that are affected by us will be really difficult to achieve without rebuilding the tourism workforce, which includes subsidizing it with participants from programs like BridgeUSA. So I really, really appreciate your efforts and Congressman Moore in putting this forth, and we appreciate your support.
Great, thank you so much. Well, we'll be following up with the State Department as well to make sure that they understand the urgency on this issue, and certainly working out with my colleagues to gain more attention to this issue. As I say, it's bipartisan, and that's really important. We'll be working probably, Scott, with the National Camps Association, and certainly Jessica with the your counterparts at the national organization that involves ski resorts. And I'm sure Christian and Carl, there's a national organization that we could work with about attractions. But, tourism is really in many ways the backbone to the economy here in New Hampshire. I think second only to manufacturing. So many of our jobs and so much of our economic activity, whatever season you're in, whether it's the summer months when people are enjoying the attractions or going to camp, or the winter months where they're skiing and getting out and about in the snow. We are very, very dependent. And I think what's challenging in this environment is, you each touched on this, but they're seasonal, and getting employees that are available. Carl, I was certainly impressed that you said 75 employees stay on the payroll year round. That's impressive, given that I can't imagine you go more than about 16 weeks for your season. And that's pretty amazing. But how can we, this program, this BridgeUSA really makes a big difference in that these are students that want to come for, 3 or 4 months. They want to work hard. Aaron, just checking in, any questions from the press? One more time here, if you're on the Zoom with us, please feel free to put a question into the chat or raise your hand. Annie Lentz, any sign of anyone having a question?
Yes, we've got Jonathan Phelps with the union leader who's got a question. Jonathan, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Super.
So Cheryl spoke about the record number of the tourism numbers this past season, and that didn't include the people from Canada. Like, what are the expectations for the upcoming tourism seasons with people, with Canadians coming across the border? Is that setting up to be another record year, or is that of concern to anyone, any of the business owners?
Go ahead, feel free to jump in if you want. I know one reason that the numbers were so high last summer was that people were not taking the same trips by air that they might have taken out to the national parks or around the country, visiting family on the West Coast, or taking vacations with airline travel. So I would expect, I know I travel by air every week, and the airports are getting busier and busier and busier. And I think over the course of the spring, as Omicron winds down and we are getting back to a new normal, people will be traveling by air more. But I don't know, Cheryl, do you have a sense of what to expect, or Christian or Carl, in terms of what you've heard for next summer?
We are very optimistic about next summer. People are still starved for entertainment. And Congresswoman, you hit the nail right on the head. They're going to expect the normal park experience, not the COVID experience, unless unless we have another. Let's hope we don't have another variant.
Let's hope we don't.
But they were very forgiving this year. Very forgiving. The public was very forgiving, even though the product wasn't the same. They understood that our business has been struggling, and they were just happy to get out. And I think that's going to continue. And like I said, we're very, very positive about this upcoming season. The challenge, the biggest challenge is finding staffing, especially here in New Hampshire. We have one of the lowest, if not the lowest, unemployment rate in the country. Is that?
Yeah,
is that
we're
correct?
back down to 2.6%. And we were low before COVID. We went up to 16% during the shutdown, but now we've come all the way back down. And in that 2.6 to 2.9, it's kind of been bouncing around a little bit. I do think, and you make a very good point about the Canadian border being open. We know that's a big impact, particularly up north. Christian, have you heard anything about what to expect next summer?
I'm not sure what to expect in terms of next summer. We are very optimistic. We're hoping that some of our Canadian guests will return to Santa's Village and resume their yearly traditions south and to New Hampshire and to the seacoast as well. And not knowing what to expect for this upcoming summer, Santa's Village is going to continue with a reservation only policy, meaning that you can only buy your tickets online. We are still going to continue to curb our capacity in the park until we can get a handle on what to expect for employees. So bringing it all back around, it's not that the demand isn't there to come to our park. It's just what we can handle and what we can deliver in terms of a quality product that keeps them in that annual tradition of coming down from Canada.
Great. Anything, Cheryl, you wanted to add?
I would just say that, yeah, I think with the pent up demand that we've seen the past couple years, and now with the Canadian border and with New Hampshire being really a perfect drive destination for New England and Canada. I expect that we'll see numbers very similar to this past year, and maybe a little bit more. So.
Great. Any other questions, Annie Lentz, from the press?
Not seeing any other questions. We'll do this as our last call. Raise your hand if you would like to ask anything. But seeing none, I think we are good to close out.
Great. Well, thank you, each and every one of you. I really appreciate it. We feel your pain, and I think part of the thing that we can do is get the word out that there are jobs that are available. They're good jobs, high-paying jobs, and they're fun to do. So make sure that young people are planning ahead to be working next summer. Retirees, I think, Christian, you made a good point, and I did say at the top that one of our employees had worked as an elf, and he said it was one of the most enjoyable jobs he ever had. I think you're in the business of joy, and I think that makes a big difference in people's lives right now. And Scott, you made the point about families, the schooling that some students missed during the shutdown, and how I can certainly say at the ski areas, watching the families interact and how valuable that time is together, just to have fun, just to, you can make a difference in the summer to help kids catch up in some of that learning and some of the maturity, the interaction with other young people. It was tough for them to be locked down at home with their siblings. They need to get out and be with other people. So for all of these reasons, I want to thank you for the work that you do, each and every one of you. It's very different, but it all comes down to joy and enjoying the outdoors and enjoying family. And I think it's really important. It's my honor to represent you in Washington. And if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to Erin Cotton, who's with us today. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Stay safe and be well, and let's put this COVID behind us. Thanks so much.